Hello and welcome everyone to episode 2. So today I hope to bring you all into the fold as to how this car got like this. There's a whole pile of footage I shot at the start about me taking the car apart and getting the wiring out and the motor and everything else, and I'll get to that. But what I wanted to focus on today for this video was how Bill and I got the body off the frame. So for those of you who are going to attempt this, it is actually very doable by yourself. And I managed to get the whole thing done by myself. Bill was here, but he was actually doing other tasks and cleaning things, whatever else. So there's a series of bolts along the bottom here that attach into the pan. There's a couple at the front. There's a couple in the shock towers in the back. You'll see those in the video. And there's a few in the back seat where the seat belts, right around where the seat belts are. And they're in this area right down here. I'm not sure if you can see that very well. It's kind of tough to see. There's 4 in there. So all those bolts on this car were fairly rusty. We got a lot of them out of the way, but what that means is when those are out, you can actually remove it quite simply. What I did was I saw this really cool video of a guy who lifted a Volkswagen Beetle body off the frame with a engine hoist. So I've got my engine hoist here, and then we fashioned up a piece of wood, which you'll see in the video of how we got that all together. This side here has since been cleaned, wire wheeled, and we've hit it with some weld-through primer. So it's ready to go for the floors. I had hoped to have the floors done by now, but you know what, I'm gonna blame COVID. There's a series of bolts down here underneath. There's about 5 each side, and then there's a few at the back and a few at the front. And then there's a couple also in the rear shock towers. Right in here that we have to take off. And the ones up front here, hang on, right in here. So these are gonna come off now, and then we've got... Okay, these ones in here are 17s, and wow, there's a lot of stuff in there. All right, so we got to take off this high beam switch here too. It's one of the few remaining things connected to the pan. There's also another spot up there where this guy is. That's got to come out here. You didn't see me there. This guy right here. The pedals are connected to the floor, so they're not a big deal. The fuel indicator here can stay in the car as well. That goes up with the body. Everything else is pretty much good. I think I'll just double check this guy right here to make sure it's in the right spot for removal, and then we might be good to go. Okay, so we're getting ready to lower the, lift the body off the frame. We found a couple of bolts that broke, and we had a few down the side that broke. But what we've done here is fashion this little contraption. It's a piece of 2x8 with a bolt in it. We just took the engine hoist, and it lifts the thing up like nothing. So the car only weighs about maybe 500-600 pounds. Right now it's teetering on it. We'll get it up over the top of the shock towers here, and then we'll wheel our little table underneath it, and then we'll have our body off the frame. So we can really take a good hard look at what we got inside the floor and in the kicks and everything like that for rust if anything's extended in there. So we'll get to it. out of here. We'll be selling these on Amazon. Okay, so there's how it's going to sit for a while. We got the car up here on the stand next to the door, so it's not blocking off too much light. We got a bit of the undercoating knocked away. So far it's looking pretty good. Again, nothing's too surprising, just this little bit down here. We found a couple little surprises in the back. Right over here in the engine. So far though, it's looking pretty good. Most of this undercoating is still in place and it's still doing its job. So we're gonna hold off on doing much body work for the next little while, just because it's not kind of in line with what we want to do. We want to get the pan and chassis done first. So this thing here is looking pretty good. We found a couple little holes in the floor. So there's a little better look at what's going on here. So we found a couple little pinholes. This part's obviously rotten, but that's all part of it. So I think once we expose all this and see what we can really do with a 24 by 15 inch patch panel, that's probably what we're gonna do, because everything else looks pretty solid. This is good metal under here, so unless we find some surprises, I just assume weld them up individually rather than do the whole floor, because you get that alignment issue. Again, if the metal's in good shape underneath as well, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's just throwing a lot of money after a problem that isn't there. So this side here, I haven't really ground too much of it yet, but I expect it'll be about the same. Yeah, so there's a bit more rust over here. Once we start scraping away a bit more of this undercoating, we seem to find a couple more surprises, but overall I think it's looking pretty good. Again, we had this existing patch that was done here. It looks like it was done long enough ago where they used flathead screws, so that would have been fun to screw those things in. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. All right, everyone. I know I say this a lot, but thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate the few comments I've gotten so far and some of the interesting likes and feedback that I've received from the guys at work. It's all very, very appreciated. So the next step here is I'm going to show you guys how we got the floors out, what tools we use, and that. And it is a fair amount of process to it, but all in all, it's actually pretty simple. It's just noisy and time-consuming and kind of dirty. So that's next, and then I'm really hoping that once we get this thing all wire wheeled and that, which I'll show in another video, we can get the floors mounted, and I'll show you how that goes. It's actually fairly time consuming getting the floor pans lined up. They don't line up very well very easily. I don't know how they ever did it at the factory, but it's a bit of a time consuming process. But anyways, we'll show you how that went down, and then we'll just keep you coming. We'll start doing on the body after that, and actually not the body. We're gonna hold off on the body for a bit. We're gonna get this front end done here, this suspension all done. So that'll be coming up once we get everything off, cleaned, painted, and then we can start putting this thing back together again, which is pretty exciting. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Please comment. Thanks.